Silverstone, it's the final round of the 2024 Ferrari Challenge UK on the Grand Prix circuit, 3.66 miles, and our final 30-minute plus one lap race of the 2024 season will be coming up for you very, very shortly indeed. The pit lane has opened, the cars and the drivers are making their way out onto the circuit. We crowned our Trofeo Pirelli champion yesterday, Gilbert Yates, but the Coppa Shell championship is all still to play for in this one. It is down to just 8 championship points between Robert Rees and Mike Dewhurst, and subject to what happens in this race, there are mathematical possibilities in that they could tie on points, and therefore if they were to do that, it would go down to who has won more races. The weather has been dry all weekend, but the cloud cover is beginning to now come in a little bit, and there have been a few little spits of rain in the air. However, the weather forecast that I'm looking at is saying there's a 7% chance of rain during this race, but it's certainly greyed up over the course of the last hour or so. 21 degrees track temperature. The wind has picked up a little bit. It was, 14 kilometres per hour earlier on. It's now 20 kilometres per hour. But hopefully it will still mean that Pirelli's slick tyres are the way to go in this race. There's no doubt about it now. It's a bone-dry track. But should we have a shower in the middle of the race, that could make things very, very interesting indeed as the drivers now start to head onto the grid. Well, this grid is set from the qualifying times that were posted earlier on, so let's look back at some of the qualifying highlights. So it was a pole position in Trofeo Pirelli for Gilbert Yates earlier on, and securing his first ever pole position in Coppa Shell, it was Stuart Marsden. So the drivers are on the grid. They've all made great friendships over the course of the 2024 championship season. Some drivers more characterful than others. So we managed to catch up with a few of the drivers and gauge their view on their competitors.
Which Ferrari UK drivers have impressed you the most this season, and what do you most admire about them?
Pranav has absolutely blown me away. He's just an amazing guy. He's come on so far.
Steve Dobson. When he started out on the journey, it was quite scary, and now he is very close to me.
Mike Dewhurst, maybe one I'll call out. I think he was a bit unwell the first race, and then he really came back hard the next couple, and Snetterson was absolutely smashing it.
Rees in the Coppa Shell, he's come on very well, and he's very good today. If you look at his timings on the qualifying.
Gilbert Yates, he's impressed me the most, yeah. Just how much quicker he gets every event.
Which of the other drivers have you enjoyed battling against the most on track, and why?
Round 1, when John Dillon was here, I quite enjoyed Brands Hatch. It was like old memories from last year, and John never gives down with easy fights, so we had quite a good run in the second race.
Had a really good battle with Darren at Snetterton. He got ahead of it at the start, and we had a really good, clean battle over a sort of 2 or 3 laps.
I sometimes find myself behind Dobson, and then I tend to overtake him, and he gets quite frustrated, and after the race, he'll be like, nearly had you.
Off track, which of the drivers do you most enjoy spending time with, and why?
Everyone is so genial and happy to chat when you're off the track, so it's nice to see friendly faces all around, to be honest.
I've got to say, it's everybody.
Everyone's very friendly off track, and I've enjoyed spending time with them all.
Lots of people interested in cars and engineering and technology, so I think difficult to pick one out, really.
In the paddock, which driver is the most entertaining, and why?
Oh, I think that goes straight to Peter Hunter.
Probably Peter. Peter's just a jokester all around.
Seems to love it, and he does create a bit of chaos, there's no doubt about that.
Which driver is the most likely to get into trouble, and why?
I hear that there's one or two don't mind a bit of rubbing, but personally I don't know who they are.
I don't know if I can comment on that.
It's got to be Peter.
Peter does tend to get himself in some scrapes, let's be honest about it.
I'll say Peter again.
Well, the name Peter Hunter was mentioned quite a lot there towards the end of that video, and Peter is on the grid. He lines up in 11th position on the grid, having qualified 7th in Coppa Shell. So the grid is pretty much fully formed at this stage. You say the wind has picked up. The cloud cover that did come over has now dispersed very, very slightly, so I think that slight chance, and it was only a slim chance of rain, may well have faded away slightly. Let's hope that it does remain dry for this final race of the 2024 championship season. The dates for the 2025 championship season were announced at a dinner at Silverstone last night. Of course, we introduced the new 296 into the championship next year for Ferrari Challenge UK, the regional championship here in the UK, but we open up our 2025 calendar somewhere different. It's another MSV circuit. We visit quite a few of them over the course of the season. Not Silverstone, of course, that is not an MSV circuit, but we start in northern Spain, Navarra, over the course of the 25th, the 26th and the 27th of April. Then we'll move to Alton Park in May for the usual Friday and Saturday event. That will be the 16th and 17th of May. Brands Hatch in Kent will host the Ferrari Challenge UK 2025 event over the weekend of the 21st and 22nd of June. Then it's on to Donington Park in July, the 26th and 27th of July. And in 12 months' time, just under, we'll be back at Silverstone for the final finale of the 2025 championship season. That will be on the 6th and the 7th of September. So that's the way the 2025 calendar works out. But we haven't as yet crowned all of our 2024 champions. And I think we can now hand you down to the grid. Amanda Stretton is down there to pick up on what might be going on in advance of this race.
I certainly am. Thanks very much, Mark. Yes, for the final time this season, I am on the grid, and I'm going to have a word with the troublemaker, the guy whose name was mentioned many times before. Peter Hunter, you arrived onto the grid just here like you'd stolen this.
Yes. It's just from being from Manchester.
Okay, but this is getting you into practice because you're not happy having qualified down here. Leanne, your wife, got you the most wonderful hat.
Yes. Yes, it said twat. So I was a twat in a hat. Forget cat in a hat, I'm a twat in a hat.
Okay, great. Well, listen, good luck. We'll leave him to it, and we will move a little bit further forward. Now, of course, today is a really exciting race because whereas yesterday we crowned our Trofeo Pirelli champion in Gilbert Yates, a man who still feels he's got the bit between his teeth, we've got a really interesting title battle still to go between Mike Dewhurst and Robert Rees. So Mike is here. I'm actually going to grab a quick word. You've just arrived. Now look, mathematically, you are still in with a championship shout here. What's going to be your strategy? You've obviously got two newcomers into the class who've shaken things up a little bit, but what's your target going to be?
All I can do is really get my head down and just make up as many places as possible. If I can get to the front and win, fantastic. And then it's in Rob's hands as to where the championship goes.
Well, you've actually made it a little easier for yourself today because you're actually starting on the track rather than from the pit lane. Just tell us what happened yesterday.
It was a misunderstanding on my part. I thought we were going through for another installation lap through the pits. So I went through again and then the pit lane closed, so I got stuck.
Well, you had the bit between your teeth during the race and you made up the entire Coppa Shell grid to win the race. So listen, best of luck to you. Have a safe race and stay well. And I'm going to also see if I can quickly grab a word with Robert Rees. Just see, he should be here. Where is he? Anyone know where Robert is? Is he in there? Yes, he's in there, right. For some reason, I just assumed he wouldn't. He'd be standing outside. Right, sorry, just 2 secs. Robert, a quick word. Hello. How are you feeling?
I'm okay. How are you?
Well, listen, I'm fine, but I don't have a championship to win today.
Well, hopefully I do. So we'll speak to you after the race.
Okay, speak after the race, but obviously you've got Paul and Stuart who've come in and they've sort of shaken things up a bit. What's this going to mean? What's your target? Is it just to finish ahead of Mike?
My target is to enjoy the race.
Enjoy the race?
Absolutely. That's what we're here for, is to enjoy the racing.
Right, you enjoy the race. Best of luck to you as well. Of course, it is quite grey, and we have had a bit of spotting going on earlier on. So this could mean, whoopsie, all sorts of things for the race. Let's hope it stays dry. But this grid is absolutely... Look, just take a look round. There are so many people. It's wonderful to see so much activity going on down here. I've got no idea who some of these people are. But anyway, right, we're going to keep moving forwards and see... Actually, I wonder if Stuart... Yeah, let's have a little word with Stuart Marston, if we can. He's getting some expert driver coaching going on there. I'm not going to translate what I heard. Stuart, listen, obviously you've come in. This is your first time this year in the car, but we've got a championship going on at the same time. But if you win, this is going to be your first win as well. So it's going to mean a lot to you.
Obviously, I'm going for the win. I'm not here to come second. Championship, let the points come out. I just want a clean race, no hitting, and just let me go. So.
Now, qualifying was a superb performance by you as well. You're obviously feeling really strong this year.
Yeah, just I know what I'm capable of, and it's just putting it all together. So it's just amazing experience. So I've loved every moment of it, and hope it continues.
It's a bit of a pinch me moment, isn't it, being here at Silverstone, where legends race and history is made. Okay, moving. Oh, well, thank you, Jamie. Hello. Hello. Right, okay. I wonder if we can just have a little chat with Andrew Morrow. So he's lining up in second. Had his qualifying lap. Johnny, are we able to jump in and have a chat? Yes, we are. Right, Andrew, hi. I've hardly spoken to you. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. It's so sweet. You're very polite. Listen, qualifying was probably not quite what you had hoped for, because also your second fast lap got, I think you got held up. Was it by Darren? I'm not sure who it was. But what can you do in the race?
Yeah, qualifying this morning and got a wee bit of traffic. Also suffered a wee bit with track limits and cops, so had a lap deleted. But yeah, look, we're still in the front row of the grid, so it's not a bad place to start. So again, we'll just try and get the head down a wee bit earlier today rather than leaving it the last minute tomorrow and see what we can do.
When you say get your head down a bit earlier, are you finding, tyre management is really coming into play? Do you find the grip runs off as the tyres get warm?
Yeah, look, I can drive not too bad on an old tyre, just need to try and drive a bit better on the newer tyres. So need to keep pushing early on and see how it goes. Okay, well listen, very best of luck to you. Right, sorry, the doors are shutting on me. And I will now move over one more time for the last time this year and talk to the man who is Mr. Excited. I think we're going to get him a T-shirt that says Mr. Excited. Gilbert Yates. I've just been calling you Mr. Excited. It was lovely to see your reaction yesterday when you won the race. What are we going to see from you today?
I'm just pretty relaxed. I'm going out to have fun and enjoy the race. So I've no stress, no pressure today. I'm just going to have fun.
Great stuff. Well, listen, very best of luck to you. Enjoy yourself, have fun. And, well, for the final time this year, I think it's time we go racing.
It is, yeah. It won't be that much longer before the grid is cleared and the engines fire into life, with the cars heading around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit on their final formation lap of the 2024 championship season. For Gilbert Yates, who Amanda just spoke to, he starts from pole position. That's his 8th pole position of the championship season. He's already claimed plenty of wins along the way, has Gilbert Yates. He has claimed 4 wins so far this season. And yes, he can relax, he can enjoy the race, because he is already the champion in Trofeo Pirelli with the results yesterday. That means that he is out of sight. He cannot be beaten in Trofeo Pirelli. So all of the focus is largely going to be on what is happening in Coppa Shell and where that championship might go. Will it head in the direction of the number 8 Dick Lovett Swindon car of Robert Rees, or might it head in the direction of the 78 Dick Lovett Swindon car of Mike Dewhurst? They are separated by just 8 championship points coming into this one. And in reality, if Robert Rees just finishes inside the top 3 in Coppa Shell, it doesn't matter what Mike Dewhurst does. He could win it, he could set the fastest lap. Mike Dewhurst would not be the champion if Robert Rees finishes inside the top 3. That is the dynamic. So let's look at the Coppa Shell points. Robert Rees is leading that championship on 120 points coming into this race, with Mike Dewhurst on 112. That's the 8-point gap. That's what we need to keep an eye on. Stephen Dobson moved up to third in the championship yesterday on 74 points, with Peter Hunter, who finished 8th in the championship last year. He's 4th at the moment on 68 points. Gary Redman, who is absent this weekend, dropped from 3rd in the championship down to 5th yesterday because he couldn't add to the tally. He's not here. Darren Howell is 6th. And championship returnees Stuart Marsden and Paul Simerson are 7th and 8th respectively in the Coppa Shell. So that is the way that the Coppa Shell championship points are working their way through. And as we say, once we get this 30 minutes plus the extra lap race out of harm's way, we will know where the crown is going for this year. So the grid has now been cleared. There's just a few remaining engineers just making sure that the cars are now fired up. The Ferrari safety car and pace car is positioned at the sharp end of the grid. So the cars to watch out for, because they are the leaders in the Coppa Shell Championship. It's the blue car of Robert Rees and the yellow, red and blue car of Mike Dewhurst. Those are the two cars we really need to watch out for. But remember, they haven't qualified inside the top 2 in Coppa Shell, because Stuart Marsden and Paul Simerson were 1st and 2nd in the qualifying session earlier on today in Coppa Shell, so they line up ahead of the 2 championship contenders. So the safety car is about to head off onto the final formation lap. All of the cars have got their engines fired up. Everybody is moving off the grid, so we can guide you then through the way that they line up for this 10th and final race of the 2024 Ferrari Challenge UK here at Silverstone. Gilbert Yates for Charles Hurst starts from pole position. His pole time was a 2-minute 4.418. That was quicker than the pole time that he set yesterday. And alongside him is his Charles Hurst teammate, the 2023 champion, Andrew Morrow. He qualified with a 2-minute 5.163. Row 2 of the grid, Pranav Vangala for H.R. Owen, alongside the first of the Coppa Shell cars, which is the Maranello Sales car of Stuart Marsden. His pole time for Coppa Shell was a 2-minute 6.802. Then we move on to the 3rd row of the grid, and on the inside of that 3rd row of the grid, it's Paul Simonson driving for Grey Paul Birmingham, and he, for company, has Robert Rees for Dick Lovett Swindon, who, remember, is the championship leader in Coppa Shell. Row 4 of the grid, it's Dick Lovett Swindon once more for Mike Dewhurst, and for company he has got the Jardine Colchester backed car of Hamandra Pillai. Hamandra, I would imagine, disappointed with only having qualified 8th place as a Trofeo Pirelli driver. And then we move on to row number 5 of the grid. On the inside of that 5th row of the grid is another one of the Dick Lovett Swindon entered cars, Stephen Dobson, and he has got the JCT 600 Leeds car of Darren Howell for company. And off the back of the grid goes the Stratstone Manchester driver, Peter Hunter, who is hoping to make progress in the next 30 minutes or so in this race. So that's the way that the grid lines up for this final race of the 2024 championship season. As we say, this is almost the last hurrah for the 488 potentially. The 296 will be introduced into the UK Regional Championship for next year, which, as I mentioned earlier on, will start with an away round at Navarra in northern Spain on the 25th, the 26th and the 27th of April, when the calendar was announced yesterday evening here at Silverstone. So still work to be done on this formation lap. Lots of weaving from side to side, lots of on and off the brakes to make sure that the carbon brakes on these cars are nice and warm, but also allow the tyre temperature to be increased. And then for the final time this season, the 3.9 litre turbocharged 670 brake horsepower V8 engines will scream into life. So you can see them all weaving down the hangar straight, just to make sure that they are now fully focused on the task in hand. Might we see Gilbert Yates scoop up win number 5 of the championship season in Coppa Shell? Robert Rees has had 4 wins so far this season. Mike Dewhurst had 5 as a result of that win yesterday, so he is a win ahead as they head round through Stowe Corner. And for the final time in 2024, we're about to get ready to go racing. So the safety car just about to turn its way in towards the pit lane. The red and the Dayglow car is Gilbert Yates on pole position. The red car with the Italian tricolore stripe down the centre is that of Andrew Morrow. Those two cars line up on pole position. It's the green car of Pranav Vangala alongside the all-red car of Stuart Marsden, and then it's the blue car with its red flashes of Paul Simonson alongside the all-blue car of Robert Rees on row number 3. So neat 2x2 order. They come up towards the exit of Club Corner. 30 minutes are on the clock, and for the final time in 2024, we're about to go. Ferrari Challenge UK Racing. Stuart Marsden really looks to get a really good start, actually, but he's on the outside line, heading towards Abbey for the first time. Andrew Morrow in second position. Pranav Vangala's there in third, and Robert Rees has gone, by the look of things, to the front of Coppa Shell in the early stages. He's got the jump on the fast-starting Stuart Marsden, who is, at the moment, got his hands rather full. He's got Pranav Vangala trying to squeeze his way up the inside, and Paul Simonson trying to go around the outside. That's all rather tight there as they head up towards the loop, but they've all made it into the corner and back out. Simonson runs a little bit wide coming out of the corner. He's now running door handle to door handle with Stuart Marsden, but what a fantastic start from Robert Rees. That's exactly what he needed to get himself into the lead of Coppa Shell in the early stages. And what's even better for Robert Rees is that the next car behind him is a Trofeo Pirelli car, and that's the pink machine in the hands of Hemandra Pillai. So this is the perfect start to Robert Rees, the championship leader. If he can keep Hemandra Pillai behind him, he can almost act as rear gunner. Pillai gets really sideways coming out of Luffield corner, just about manages to gather the car up. We've still got Paul Simonson and Stuart Marsden running side by side with each other. They were 3 wide, weren't they, going in towards the loop? They are still 2 wide by the time they get up towards Cops Corner, but eventually they have to get back in towards single file. And who comes out ahead? It is Paul Simonson that has just got the jump on the pole sitter Stuart Marsden, who has now dropped to what's that going to be third in Coppa Shell, and he's got Mike Dewhurst right behind him. So it's been a brilliant first lap, some real door handle to door handle battles, but nice clean racing in Ferrari Challenge UK, and that's allowed the top 3 to rather break away from everybody that wants to be 4th at the moment. It's Robert Rees that's 4th overall. He is the Coppa Shell leader, but he's got Hemandra Pillai bearing down on him, and Paul Simonson's not too far away either. Up towards Stowe Corner they'll go. Hemandra Pillai has the inside line, and also Paul Simonson sneaks his way through, so he picks up the lead of Coppa Shell, and Robert Rees now loses a position down in Coppa Shell and loses 2 places overall as Hemandra Pillai in a Trofeo Pirelli car goes through. Paul Simonson goes through, and Robert Rees now finds himself down through the order and coming under pressure from the next car that sits right behind him, which is Stuart Marsden, followed by Mike Dewhurst. Mike Dewhurst has got Darren Howell just behind him. Then it's Peter Hunter, and Stephen Dobson is at the tail end of the order, but they're all still together. From 4th backwards is one great big train of Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo spec cars. So that's the first lap ticked into the book. And let's just have a quick look. Stuart Marsden looks to try and sneak up the inside of Robert Rees, but can't get the job done at Village. He's going to have to be patient and wait until the exit of the loop to see whether he can get a run heading up towards Aintree and along the Wellington Straight. But again, he's not quite there by the look of things. And with these two now squabbling for 2nd and 3rd in Coppa Shell, it's allowing the number 77 car of Paul Simonson just to edge away slightly. So in towards the braking area for Brooklands. Remember, for Robert Rees, the blue number 8 car, as long as he finishes inside the top 3 in Coppa Shell, that would be sufficient regardless of anything else that happens to give him the Coppa Shell Championship for this year. Well, he's 2nd in Coppa Shell at the moment, so even if Stuart Marsden gets by, it would still leave him in a strong position, and even more so because his main championship rival, Mike Dewhurst, is behind him at the moment. In fact, where is Mike Dewhurst? He has lost places. He's lost another couple of places, Mike Dewhurst, as he came through. He has lost out to, I think Peter Hunter has gone through in the background of the shot. So not quite sure what happened to Mike there. So there goes Robert Rees, there goes Stuart Marsden, there is Stephen Dobson and Peter Hunter, and Mike Dewhurst, yeah, has dropped to the tail end of the order. So was that a small mistake from him? Did he run wide? We didn't see. But that is not what Mike Dewhurst needs. He needs to be working his way, as he did yesterday, towards the sharp end and seeing if he can scoop up another win. So he's now breathing down the neck of Peter Hunter. Looks one way, looks the other. He's going to draw himself alongside, but he's on the left-hand side of the circuit, heading up towards Stowe Corner. Is he going to be able to clear Peter Hunter before they get towards Stowe? Yes, he does. He sweeps across the nose and gains a place there. So that is 1 place gained for Mike Dewhurst. And now the next car that he's going to want to try and sneak his way through is going to be that of Stephen Dobson. And just looking, the right rear corner of Mike Dewhurst's car. There might be a very slight amount of damage on the right rear corner of his car, so I wonder whether there was either a slight amount of contact there or whether it was an off briefly that has just allowed a very small piece of bodywork to start to come loose. So they're on lap number 3 at the moment. Mike Dewhurst doing what he did yesterday, round the outside at Farm to get the inside line as they're coming towards the braking area for Village. And that's another place gained by Mike Dewhurst. So that's now through and ahead of Peter Hunter, through and ahead of Stephen Dobson. That will put him now up into 4th in Coppa Shell, which is still not enough, whilst his main championship rival, Robert Rees, lies 6th overall and is currently 2nd in Coppa Shell. Stuart Marsden has gone through, so he's gone through and ahead of Robert Rees. And Hamandra Pillai and Andrew Morrow have gone off together. That's at Luffield Corner. They both rejoin directly ahead of Stuart Marsden, who has to get on the brakes. And thankfully, Robert Rees saw him and avoided making contact. But something must have happened there because both Andrew Morrow and Hamandra Pillai were pointing in the wrong direction. Well, Morrow was 2nd as he came over the start-finish line, and Hamandra Pillai was 4th. So quite how they've got together. It might be entirely separate incidents, potentially, of maybe Andrew Morrow having a spin and Hamandra Pillai spinning in sympathy. Stuart Marsden runs very wide coming out of Copse Corner. He'll need to be careful that he doesn't do that too many times, otherwise potentially he could hand himself a time penalty in this race. He hangs on for the moment to 2nd in Coppa Shell. Robert Rees down to 3rd in Coppa Shell, which is still enough for him to secure the title at this stage. Even more so whilst Mike Dewhurst is still trying to make a little bit of progress through the order. So on to the Hanger Straight. Paul Simonson in the blue car with its black and its red flashes continues to lead Coppa Shell, the number 77 car. The all-red car of Stuart Marsden 2nd in Coppa Shell. Robert Rees 3rd in Coppa Shell, but all three, the trio, are together as they head for the 3rd time round through Stowe Corner. Andrew Morrow and Hamandra Pillai still trying to recover from their spins, but the lead 3 in Coppa Shell all onto the brakes together in towards, first of all, the left flick at Club, and then they'll head up towards the right-hand flick at Cub. Hamandra Pillai will be next through. And it looks as though Stephen Dobson has also just managed to work his way through, and also running wide there. That is Andrew Morrow all through the gravel trap, coming out of Club Corner. So just as he'd had the spin and had lost places, he gained a few again, and now he's gone and been picked off. He's dropped back behind Stephen Dobson. So Andrew Morrow is now going to be down into something like 9th position. It's a strange old race with in the early stages. Again, running wide is Hamandra Pillai, and he comes from a long way back up the inside of Mike Dewhurst and makes contact with him. So that was from a long, long way back from Hamandra Pillai. Now, there was a little bit of contact between the pair. Has that caused damage to Hamandra Pillai's car? If it has, yes, there's a very slight kink just on the wheel arch. Hopefully, that is not going to cause him a problem, but when cars go wheel to wheel like that, occasionally you can end up picking yourself up a puncture. I hope that's not the case. And certainly for Mike Dewhurst, he is rather fortunate for that. Oh, then there's more contact by the look of things, and Robert Rees goes round. Robert Rees trying to gather it all up again, and he's going to spin by the look of things. There was contact between himself and Stuart Marsden, and Robert Rees now having to do a 3-point turn to get himself in the right direction. Has he stalled the car? Can he get it restarted? And this is disastrous for his championship aspirations. He's desperately trying to get the car sorted. He's trying to get it fired up, but for the moment it sits sideways across the circuit at Luffield Corner and is going nowhere. He finally fires it up again and will be able to get going, but again that will have shuffled the order and will have promoted Mike Dewhurst up through the Coppa Shell rankings. Now, where is he going to be at the end of this one? Well, with everything that's been going on this lap, we need to try and work it out. I think that puts him 3rd in Coppa Shell at this stage. He's got Stephen Dobson right behind him. He'll be 4th in Coppa Shell. And then you've got the recovering Andrew Morrow. It's not very often we say that Andrew Morrow is outside of the top 6. Well, he is at the moment. The number 1 car in the hands of the 2023 champion. So, first third of the race gone, and it's certainly been action-packed, hasn't it? In towards the break here for Club Corner. Andrew Morrow dives up the inside of Stephen Dobson on the way into the corner and is able to sneak his way through. Stephen Dobson, having lost 1 place, now finds himself in danger of losing a further place as he's coming under pressure from the silver car in the hands of Peter Hunter. So at the moment, Mike Dewhurst is 3rd in Coppa Shell. 3rd in Coppa Shell would mean he would end up on 122 championship points. Robert Rees came through at the end of that lap. Or has he come through at the end of that lap? I'm not convinced he has, you know. Have to wait and see. Darren Howell has headed to the pit lane, I can tell you that, but I'm not sure Robert Rees has come through. He comes through now, only now does Robert Rees come over the start-finish line. So Mike Dewhurst is third in Coppa Shell, and I'm sure we'll let Andrew Morrow go through, because that's not a championship battle that Mike Dewhurst needs to worry about. Through goes Andrew Morrow, and Robert Rees is lying 6th in Coppa Shell at this stage. So that is still sufficient for Robert Rees to be the champion. He would end up on 124 points, and Mike Dewhurst would end up on 122. So what Mike Dewhurst has to do, he has to catch the next car ahead of him, which would be Stuart Marsden, because that would pick him up an extra 2 championship points, which means that he would then end up on 124 if he can gain 1 place. Robert Rees, if he stays where he is, would end up on 124. They'd be tied on points, but Mike Dewhurst would have 1 more win, so would be the champion. So it's going to continually change this one as we have to work the maths out as every single place changes, and we also need to keep an eye on where the fastest lap in Coppa Shell might be going. And at the moment, that fastest lap in Coppa Shell and the extra bonus point that would go with it is going the way of Mike Dewhurst. 1 minute 12.876 from him last time through, or 867 I should say. So let's have a quick look. No, Paul Simerson has gone quicker. Paul Simerson's done a 1 minute 11.998, so that's where the extra championship point would go. So very, very fine margins for where the crown might be heading in 2024. Towards the tail end of the field, we've still got a squabble going on. Number 74, Stephen Dobson, under pressure from Peter Hunter as they fight over what should be 7th and 8th place. That will be 4th and 5th respectively in Coppa Shell. So through they go. That's now 5 laps completed, 18 minutes plus the extra lap still to go in our final race of the 2024 championship season. And we haven't really mentioned Gilbert Yates, and that's because he's leading by a country mile. He leads by 15.5 seconds over Pranav Vangala in 2nd position. Paul Simerson leads Coppa Shell, and he's 3rd overall at the moment. And great car of Robert Rees about to conclude the lap. He's still running around in 9th position overall, 6th in Coppa Shell, which would mean that he would be on that 124 points at the end of this race if he stays where he is. Mike Dewhurst, as we mentioned, is lying 3rd in Coppa Shell, so he would miss out on the championship by just 2 championship points after a full season of racing. So even if Mike Dewhurst remains 3rd but sets the fastest lap, he would still miss out, but then on that occasion just by 1 single championship point. So it's very small margins indeed. There's a long, long way to go in this race. Through Cops Corner goes number 15, Stuart Marsden. He was the pole sitter in Coppa Shell for the first time ever in his Ferrari Challenge career. Doesn't look as though he at the moment has the same pace as Paul Simerson, who leads Coppa Shell, but the overall race leader, which is Gilbert Yates, is just coming up towards the end of the lap this time through. That's going to be 6 laps completed. In the race yesterday, we managed 16 laps in the 30 minutes plus the extra lap thereafter. So once the clock ticks to 0, that's not checkered flag, it's the lap after. 1 more lap will get added once the clock has ticked to 0. So through goes Gilbert Yates, flicks his way in towards Abbey, the first corner. Carry all the speed through the flat out left-hand Kincott Farm, and then you'll see the nose of the car dip as he's heavily onto the brakes heading in towards Village Corner. And then from there, a very slight movement from one side of the circuit to the other as you then flick your way into the tight left-hander at the loop. Get on the throttle early, but not too early, because the car will squirm around. Carry all the momentum through the flat-out Kincott Aintree, which is where he's just gone now. And then down the Wellington Straight before then the brake discs really glow as they head in towards the braking area for Brooklands. The fantastic cherry orange glow of those brake discs through Luffield. And then from there, once you get through the exit of Luffield, it's build the speed again through the flat-out Woodcote Corner. So Gilbert Yates, 17.25 seconds up the road from Pranav Vangala in 2nd place, the number 29 car, and Pranav Vangala is now the best part of 11.5 seconds plus up the road from the Coppa Shell leader, who's running 3rd overall, which is Paul Simerson. But I'm not sure how much longer Paul is going to remain in 3rd overall, because he is getting caught by Andrew Morrow, who is still in the process of recovering A from his spin at Luffield and then B from his gravelly moment coming out of Club Corner. So Gilbert Yates, no pressure at all on him today. He is already the Trofeo Pirelli champion for 2024. He just wanted to enjoy his race, and he'll certainly have a big smile on his face because he'll look in his mirror as he heads down the Hanger Straight, and he will not be able to see a great deal other than empty tarmac behind him, and that's the perfect situation for Gilbert Yates in conjunction with his pro driver Tom Fleming. I'll just be saying, look, just pace yourself. You don't need to push now. You've built the gap. You can control the pace. We've had the change for third. I did say that Paul Simerson, the Coppa Shell leader, was getting caught by the recovering Andrew Morrow. Well, Andrew Morrow has now managed to squeeze his way through and is up into third place overall. Paul Simerson drops to fourth, but still hangs on to the Coppa Shell lead. Remember, those cars running in Trofeo Pirelli have the red windscreen header. Those that run in Coppa Shell have the yellow windscreen header. That's how you can tell the different categorisation apart. The cars are identical. There's no difference between the cars in either one of those categories. It's really just down to driver experience. The more experienced drivers and the quicker drivers go into Trofeo Pirelli. Those that are taking their first steps into motorsport will head towards the Coppa Shell category. So Pranav Vangala, the dark green number 29 car, is very much on his own in second position. We have seen Pranav grab a few second places so far this year. He was second in both of the races at Alton Park. He also finished second in one of the races at Donington Park. That was the Sunday race at Donington Park. He's not had a win as yet so far this season, but he's certainly had some good pace in his first season of Ferrari Challenge UK racing, albeit he is 17 seconds adrift of the race leader at the moment. What are his lap times like compared to Andrew Morrow? Well, he's about a second a lap slower, but Andrew Morrow is still in third place, 12.5 seconds back. So Pranav is another driver that, a bit like our race leader Gilbert Yates, can just pace himself, just try and maintain that gap, or if it gets eroded a little bit, just make sure that the rate of close is sufficient that he can hang on for the next 14 minutes plus the extra lap thereafter. For Coppa Shell, we also need to keep an eye on Mike Dewhurst, because he is closing in and chipping away at Stuart Marsden ahead of him, and that could be very important for Mike Dewhurst if he can gain a place. So that will be a gap we need to keep an eye on. At the moment, the gap from number 15 Stuart Marsden back to 78 Mike Dewhurst is 2.8 seconds between the pair of them. So Pranav Vangala works his way out of Beckett's and through the left-hand Kinkert Chapel curve onto the Hanger Straight. A bit like Gilbert Yates, he'll look in his mirrors and not be able to see a great deal behind him, and that will more than please him. And of course his professional driver coach that he's working with this weekend, which is Lorcan Hannafin. So through Stowe, and then start to descend down the small hill in towards the Vale. He's about to complete lap number 8 this time through, with just under half of the time allocation to go, and no sign as yet of any inclement weather coming in. The cloud cover is still here, but those little spits of rain seem to have disappeared. So the Pirelli tyres, the controlled Pirelli slick tyres that they'll all be on, working hard. So another lap completed for Pranav Vangala. The lead advantage to Gilbert Yates has now increased further. 18.1 seconds back is the number 29 car of Pranav Vangala. Andrew Morrow is a further 11.5 seconds back from that in third place overall. Paul Simerson is fourth and still continues to lead Coppa Shell. Fifth place is Stuart Marsden, second in Coppa Shell, and sixth place, third in Coppa Shell, is Mike Dewhurst. And Mike Dewhurst has just done a 2-minute 9.355 lap, and that at the moment is still not quite the fastest lap in Coppa Shell. Fastest lap in Coppa Shell is going the way of Robert Rees with a 2 minutes 9.219 at this stage. So that is still enough for Robert Rees to be crowned the champion. And you can just see that tiny bit of flapping bodywork on the car of Mike Dewhurst. It's not going to cause him any problem at all. I wouldn't have thought that small amount of damage there. But exactly what caused it, we haven't quite got to the answer to at this stage. So Mike Dewhurst, 2.6 seconds back from Stuart Marsden. Mike Dewhurst will be pushing hard. No doubt he will have heard over the radio from Ed Bridle, his professional driver coach, that where he is in the race, that he is closing on the car ahead, but that he hasn't got the fastest lap in Coppa Shell. That extra championship point potentially at the moment is heading in the direction of Robert Rees. Or Paul Simerson. Paul Simerson actually, with a 2 minute 7.941, would pick up the fastest lap of the race. So 10 minutes and 3/4 to go, plus that extra lap thereafter. Now for Mike Dewhurst, he really needs to close the gap on the all-red number 15 car in the hands of Stuart Marsden. Remember, Robert Rees is lying down in 6th position in Coppa Shell. That would mean that he would finish the season on 124 championship points. Mike Dewhurst is lying in 3rd position in Coppa Shell, so he is on 122 championship points. So he needs to catch Stuart Marsden. He needs to pass Stuart Marsden. If he does that, he would pick up an extra 2 championship points, and those extra 2 championship points would put him in the position that he could be the champion. But that would be on countback. He'd be tied on points with Robert Rees, but he'd have more wins. So it is really, really close still. I don't think there's any chance that Robert Rees might pick up another spot unless problems befall anybody else, because he is the best part of 20 seconds adrift of anybody else. So the chances of Robert Rees improving from 6th in Coppa Shell are reliant on either a problem or a spin or something for somebody ahead, which is more than possible still. So Stuart Marsden just about to head out of Aintree Corner. The Maranello Sales entered number 15 car, and down the Wellington Straight Hill goes. Well, there's Robert Rees's team in the garage. They're looking on at what's unfolding out there. They no doubt will have also had their shoes and socks off at some point, doing the maths as well and counting fingers and toes just to try and work out the mathematics of this one. It's always so tense, the championship finale. But for Paul Simerson, as he goes down the National Straight, he continues to lead the number 77 car, Coppa Shell, at this stage. In his return to the championship, the man who was runner-up in Coppa Shell last year, not the first time he's finished runner-up, he's twice been a runner-up in the championship in Coppa Shell. He's finished 3rd as well in Coppa Shell in the past, but returns to Ferrari Challenge UK for the first time in 2024 this weekend. And just going to show that whilst he perhaps hasn't done as much Ferrari Challenge racing this year, he has blown the cobwebs away to a great degree, and has pretty much now started to build enough of an advantage between himself and Stuart Marsden that he can control the gap that he's got. Last time through, though, Stuart Marsden did lap a 1/10 of a second quicker than Paul Simerson, so actually the gap between the pair of them for 1st and 2nd in Coppa Shell did come up down very slightly, but only by a whisker. So coming up towards the end of lap number 10, round through Club Corner comes our Coppa Shell number 77 leading car. Over the start-finish line goes Paul Simerson. What does his lap time look like that time relative to Stuart Marsden? Well, Stuart Marsden was a little bit quicker again. It came down by another 1/10 of a second that time through. Mike Dewhurst, though, who is 3rd in Coppa Shell, was quicker than the pair ahead. So the pair ahead did a 2-minute 9.1 for Paul Simerson. It was a 2-minute 9.0 for Stuart Marsden, but it was a 2-minute 8.6 for Mike Dewhurst. So he is pushing hard, and the top 3 in Coppa Shell will all be turning their way out of the loop and through Aintree Corner and onto the Wellington Straight before too much longer. So there goes Paul Simerson down the Wellington Straight. We'll see the brake lights flash on when he gets up towards Brooklands Corner. You'll also see that brilliant glow of the brake discs as he dives onto the brakes and pitches the car in towards the left-hander before he then turns through the right-hander at Luffield Corner. Stuart Marsden definitely getting caught by Mike Dewhurst, and over the first sector of this lap, Mike Dewhurst was 1.1 seconds quicker than Stuart Marsden, and that's just in the first 40 seconds of this particular lap. So Mike Dewhurst is edging towards the rear bumper of championship returnee and the man who qualified on pole in Coppa Shell. Through Copse Corner they'll go, and then as they start to sprint their way down the short straight that brings them up towards Beckett's Corner, a good run through Beckett's, and potentially Mike Dewhurst might pick up a little bit of a tow down the Hanger Straight. I'm not sure he's quite close enough just as yet to get in the slipstream and get the full effect of Stuart Marsden's car ahead of him. So onto the Hanger Straight, Paul Simerson, number 77, still leading the way in Coppa Shell. In the background, the all-red car of Stuart Marsden, getting closed on ever more by Mike Dewhurst, who will have picked up a very small amount of tow, but not a great deal. He still needs to edge up another couple of Ferrari lengths, I would say, to get the full effects of the hole in the air that Stuart Marsden will be creating. But he's not going to get that opportunity towards the end of this lap to fully close up, because they're just heading into the braking area for Club Corner now, and there's still the best part of 4 Ferrari lengths between the pair of them round through Club. So over the start-finish line, 6 minutes to go, plus the extra lap. Paul Simerson, Stuart Marsden, Mike Dewhurst, 1st, 2nd and 3rd in Coppa Shell at this stage. And remember, Robert Rees, who is the championship leader in Coppa Shell, is still sitting down in 6th position in Coppa Shell at the moment. Mike Dewhurst is 3rd in Coppa Shell, but is closing, ever closing towards Stuart Marsden, and potentially on this lap might give himself an opportunity to try and squeeze his way by. He's still not close enough, I don't think, as they head on to the Wellington Straight, and Brooklands is not one of the best overtaking opportunities. He pushes really hard and runs onto the curbs coming out of Aintree Corner. He's closing in the slipstream of Stuart Marsden, but he's not going to be close enough when they head up towards Brooklands Corner. So Stuart Marsden for the moment still remains in 5th place overall, 2nd in Coppa Shell. Where is the fastest lap in Coppa Shell going? That is still going in the direction of Paul Simerson. So this is a very important stage of the race with 5 minutes plus the extra lap to go for Mike Dewhurst. He at the moment is going to miss out on the championship by 2 championship points for Robert Rees. And how many extra points does he get? If he passes Stuart Marsden, he gets 2 extra championship points, so he's got to get past the number 15 car, whilst Robert Rees remains down there in 6th place in Coppa Shell at this stage. So it is very nervous down there in the garages, everybody looking on, and like ourselves, we just don't know which way the championship crown is going to go. Is it going to head in the direction of the number 78 car from Dick Lovett-Swindon? Or is it going to head in the direction of Robert Rees? Mike Dewhurst, that time through, bettered the fastest lap time of Paul Simerson. He's just done a 2 minute 7.828 that time through, so that's an extra championship point for Mike Dewhurst. So now he would end up on 123 championship points if he stays where he is, compared to 124 for Robert Rees. So there's just 1 point in it, and if Mike Dewhurst can get past the all-red car of Stuart Marsden, he would gain 2 more championship points, and that would mean he would be the champion by a single point. So it is so close. At the moment, Dewhurst is going to miss out by a single point, but he's got to get the overtake done. If he can do it, he'd be the champion by a single point. So close, with just 3 3/4 minutes plus the extra lap to go. Mike Dewhurst will be well aware as to what he needs to do. You could see a little bit of mid-corner correction there as he pitched the car in towards Abbey. Car wasn't quite compliant with his input, but a small little adjustment mid-corner, and again there you can just see there's a slight amount, I think, of turning oversteer on that car. So through the loop, Stuart Marsden looks as though he runs a little bit wide coming out of the loop and up towards Aintree Corner. That's a glimmer of hope for Mike Dewhurst to see whether he can close up a bit more, but again he's just not close enough. I don't think he'll gain as they head up the Wellington Straight, but he's just not close enough as they head in towards Brooklands. 3 minutes to go, 12 laps completed. The extra point for the fastest lap going in the direction of, still at this stage, Mike Dewhurst with that 2 minute 7.828 that he posted. And that, at the moment, is still, even with where he is and the fastest lap, still not good enough, if I've got the maths right, for him to lift the crown for 2024 in Coppa Shell. So through Copse Corner. How many more laps are we going to squeeze out of this one? I would have thought we'll probably get 3 more laps out of this one. Yeah, they're on lap number 13 at the moment. We managed 16 yesterday. So there's still time, there's still opportunities. And what has Mike Dewhurst done? How hard has he worked his tyres to get into the position that he's in? How hard has Stuart Marsden worked his tyres? And I think they're both now catching Paul Simerson for the lead of Coppa Shell. So the top 3 in Coppa Shell head down the Hanger Straight. The blue car, Paul Simerson. The red car, Stuart Marsden. The largely yellow car, Mike Dewhurst. 1st, 2nd and 3rd in Coppa Shell. 4th, 5th and 6th overall in this race, with now just 120 seconds plus the extra lap to go. And still at the moment, with Mike Dewhurst remaining 3rd in Coppa Shell, he would miss out on the Coppa Shell Championship by 1 single point to Robert Rees. So it is all still to play for. I'm so grateful that it came down to the final race of the season. Well, it may well come down to the final lap of the season to understand who is going to be our Coppa Shell champion, because the top 3 are definitely together now. Paul Simerson was a full second slower than Stuart Marsden on that lap, and Mike Dewhurst was a 1/10 of a second quicker than Stuart Marsden. So it's all very close indeed. The 3 as one head through Village up towards the loop. Stuart Marsden again, almost just runs a little bit wide coming out of the corner. There's still that little bit of flapping bodywork on Mike Dewhurst's car, but looking at the pace that he's got, which is really good this time as he heads down to Wellington Straight and fully picks up the toe from Stuart Marsden. He's looking for the inside line as they head up towards Brooklands, but the door is going to close, and Mike Dewhurst, I think, is going to have another opportunity. Stuart Marsden breaks that a little bit later, and finally at the exit of the corner, that is through for Mike Dewhurst, and that has gone down well with the team in the garage. That extra place that he's gained nets him 2 championship points, which means that at the moment now Mike Dewhurst is in a position to win the championship by 1 single point from Robert Rees, but it's not done yet. Stuart Marsden is coming back at him as they head down a national straight. He's not going to squeeze his way through as they go through Copse Corner. So we've got 30 seconds to go, plus the extra lap. We'll have to wait and see when Gilbert Yates comes over the start-finish line, which is now. So they're only on their penultimate lap. When they finish this lap, they'll be starting their penultimate lap. So there's still time and opportunity for Mike Dewhurst to see if he can pull away and remove a bit of that pressure from behind, which is Stuart Marsden, and see whether he might be able to close in on Paul Simerson as well, because all 3 of them are still in shot as they head down the Hanger Straight this time through. So up to second in Coppa Shell has gone Mike Dewhurst. He's still, I'm just double checking, got the extra championship point for the fastest lap. So that would put him, if he stays where he is now, on 125 championship points. And Robert Rees would be on 124 championship points. So what a finish to the season. Big squirrely moment from Mike Dewhurst as he got the power down there coming out of Club Corner. He'll have had to have got off the throttle a little bit, and I think he knows that he's under pressure now coming down the Lewis Hamilton Straight from Stuart Marsden. But the first corner, Abbey, is so quick. You can't really use that as an overtaking opportunity. Your best bet is onto the brakes as you come up towards the heavy braking area for Village, and Stuart Marsden is having a go, but he's a little bit later on the brakes going in. Couldn't do anything about unlocking the door to try and squeeze his way back through once more, but that's not going to stop Stuart wanting to roll his sleeves up and bringing the fight to Mike Dewhurst. Mike Dewhurst has to be careful though, because he knows full well he's got to stay ahead of that car behind, and whilst these 2 are starting to battle, is it allowing Paul Simerson to edge away again a slight amount? So through Brooklands, using all of the curb, Mike Dewhurst on the apex of the corner there. He's not going to be under pressure round through Luffield from Stuart Marsden behind. As he comes out of the corner, he runs a little bit wide, but again, he's just got enough daylight between himself and Stuart Marsden. I don't think he needs to worry too much on the sprint down towards Copse Corner. So up towards Copse they'll go, and they should be heading on to their final lap of the race next time through. Out of Copse Corner, Stuart Marsden looking to try and get a run on the champion-elect Mike Dewhurst. Paul Simerson still continuing to lead Coppa Shell and has just broken away by an extra half a Ferrari length or 2 through Beckett's and then on towards Chapel Curve. Now Stuart Marsden might pick up a bit of a toe from Mike Dewhurst, but is he going to be close enough, as our leader is now on his last lap of the race? So these 3 cars coming up towards Stowe Corner now will be just about to finish their penultimate lap of the race as Stuart Marsden looks at the inside of Mike Dewhurst. That was a fair way back, and Mike Dewhurst knew that he could just chop across the nose of Stuart Marsden, so he still hangs on to second place in Coppa Shell. Now Stuart Marsden has got the windscreen wiper going, he's been flashing his lights as well, but that is not going to put off Mike Dewhurst. He knows the task in hand. He will have been communicated over the radio by Ed Bridle, his professional driver coach, that you've got to stay ahead. You cannot allow Stuart Marsden to take that place back away, otherwise the championship would head in the direction of Robert Rees. But at the moment it's heading in the direction of Mike Dewhurst, and with the little bit of drop-off that we've got on the tyres now that they are past being their freshest, it does mean that for the moment the fastest lap of this race in Coppa Shell is still Mike Dewhurst with a 2:07.828. Robert Rees still lies 6th in Coppa Shell and has still got a huge amount of daylight between himself and Peter Hunter, so the chance of him picking up an extra couple of places are pretty much zero, I'm afraid, following that spin and stall of the car down at Luffield when he had that small amount of contact with Stuart Marsden. So final lap for Gilbert Yates. He was crowned the champion yesterday. As he heads up towards Stowe Corner now, it is looking as though it is going to be a brilliant haul of points for Gilbert Yates this weekend. 2 pole positions, 2 race wins, and by the look of things, 2 fastest laps. So maximum points for Gilbert Yates in Trofeo Pirelli as he turns his way through the club chicane for the final time and heads towards the last checkered flag that we'll see in Ferrari Challenge UK in the 2024 championship season. Gilbert Yates is about to come through and claim yet another win. That's win number 5 of the championship season for Gilbert Yates, who was crowned the Trofeo Pirelli champion yesterday. Pranav Vangala should finish second and Andrew Morrow third, but what's going on in Coppa Shell? So here comes Pranav Vangala over the start-finish line. In Coppa Shell, it is still Paul Simonsen from Mike Dewhurst, who is still under pressure from Stuart Marsden as they head up towards Stowe Corner. How much gap does he have between him? Stuart Marsden comes from a long way back up the inside of Mike Dewhurst. Now, can he get the car anchored up? Yes, he can. Can he turn into Stowe? Yes, he can. Can Mike Dewhurst fight back down in the way in towards Club Corner? He is not going to be able to, or is he? He's trying to get up the inside. He's 2 wheels on the grass. There's almost a rub between the pair of them, and there's still, I think, a little bit of a rub between the pair of them. And Mike Dewhurst is going to lose the place, and he's going to lose the championship as a result of that. Paul Simonsen grabs the win. Stuart Marsden is second. Mike Dewhurst finishes in third place with the fastest lap. But all we need now is to make sure that Robert Rees takes the checkered flag. He has to take the checkered flag and be classified in 6th place. He is just heading up towards Stowe Corner, and he's got himself ahead of Peter Hunter, has he, on this lap by the look of things. Now, there was 13 seconds between the pair of them, and all of a sudden now Peter Hunter is behind Robert Rees. So all of that squabbling between Stuart Marsden and Mike Dewhurst might have been absolutely irrelevant, because I think somehow, from being 13 seconds adrift of Peter Hunter on this final lap of the race, Robert Rees has managed to get through and ahead of Peter, who must have had a moment in the middle sector somewhere. So here comes Robert Rees over the start-finish line. He finishes 5th in the end in Coppa Shell, which means that he, subject to official confirmation, will be the champion on 126 championship points. Mike Dewhurst, who finished 3rd in that race and picked up the fastest lap point, will finish 3 points adrift of him on 123 championship points. Well, what a finale in Ferrari Challenge 2024. Congratulations to all of the drivers for putting on a real show in the last race of the season. But sadly, we can only have one champion, and the championship in Coppa Shell for 2024 is heading in the direction of Dick Lovett-Swindon's number 8 driver, which is Robert Rees. He would have been really worried the way that the race unfolded when he spun and then couldn't get the engine restarted. But I think that the one person he probably needs to thank is Peter Hunter. I don't know what happened to Peter Hunter on that final lap, but he lost a huge chunk of time in the middle sector, and that overtake was sufficient for Robert Rees to claim the championship, regardless of what was going on ahead of them, with that brilliant battle between Stuart Marsden and Mike Dewhurst, who both of them threw everything at that. And unfortunately, yeah, for Mike Dewhurst, just came up short, but hopefully they will have all enjoyed that race as much as I did, and hopefully you did as well. So in towards the pit lane comes Gilbert Yates. He claims the win. That is his 5th of the 2025 championship season. And for Robert Rees, well, he will be the driver, I'm sure, when he gets in towards the pit lane. That's where Amanda Stretton will be heading straight towards, because he might not have been able to see that brilliant battle that was going on ahead of him. He was probably aware just how much of a knife edge the championship was on as to which direction the crown was going to go for 2024. But for Robert Rees, you know, brilliant season from him. And he's had some great racing with Mike Dewhurst and everybody else in Coppa Shell. So out of the car comes Gilbert Yates. It's another race win for him. What a weekend to cap off his 2024 championship season. There's his professional driver coach, Tom Fleming, just congratulating him. Those two have worked so well together this season. And as we say, it is the perfect points haul for Gilbert Yates as he heads down there into pit lane. I think there's still a few spits of rain in the air. Could you see a slight spit on the camera lens there? So there's still rain in the air here at Silverstone. But we've got through the race, and thankfully, other than Darren Howell, everybody else saw the checkered flag in that one. So the final 2 cars heading in towards the pit lane. Peter Hunter, and, well, also number 8, which is the car of our champion in Coppa Shell for this year, Robert Rees. So himself and the Dick Lovett-Swindon team will be hugely happy with that one. I'm afraid Mike Dewhurst might feel as though that was one that sort of got away from him, but as we say, it's so disappointed that we can only have one champion, because they were both worthy champions. The drive for Mike Dewhurst yesterday was a champion's drive, and even in that one he didn't leave a lot on the table at all. But it is Robert Rees who is our 2024 Coppa Shell champion. And as we say, we really didn't know which direction it was going. We were hoping it would come down to the final race of the season. I didn't think it would come down to the final lap of the season. And it almost came down to the final corner of the 2024 championship season. Robert Rees, understandably, looks delighted with that. He was feeling slightly second-hand yesterday. He picked up a bug flying back from America, but that's the perfect medicine, isn't it? You can call yourself a champion, Robert Rees, after what has been a long, long season. So congratulations from family members down there, and Amanda Stretton is down there in the pit lane.
Robert Rees, I don't want to steal from this moment, but right, just letting some hugs here with Peter. Robert, are you aware of what was going on in that race?
No.
Right. At what point did you find out that you are champion
When
in
I came
Coppa
across
Shell?
the line.
Really?
Really.
Okay, so do you want me to give you a quick run through of what happened?
Yes, please.
Right. It went down to the final lap when you then passed Peter.
Oh.
That was it. That was the moment. So, Peter Hunter, you owe him a beer.
Thank you.
Your car broke. Peter's car broke. Congratulations.
Thank you all ever so much. Fantastic. A dream come true. Thank you.
Many, many congratulations. What a fantastic race. I've never known a race that was so excited. Right, you're going to make your way now. And we're going to see if we can move up the front, actually talk to some of the other race winners. But Mark, in the meantime, back to you.
Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, so, yeah, what a fantastic end to the 2024 championship season. And Robert Rees blissfully unaware, and rightly so, as to everything that was going on ahead of him up there in that race. So let's just see if we can look back at some of the highlights of the race. When the lights went out, it was Gilbert Yates that got the jump on Andrew Morrow, and Pranav Vangala came through into third place. It was a good start, though, from Robert Rees at the beginning. He would pick up the early lead in Coppa Shell, having pinched that Coppa Shell lead away from the pole sitter of Stuart Marsden. It was all rather fraught, though, for the first few laps, the top three getting away. Hamandra Pillai, after a poor qualifying session, was trying to work his pink car through the order. He got a little bit sideways coming out of Luffield Corner. And then we saw, for the best part of half a lap, Paul Simerson and Stuart Marsden, both of whom returned to the championship, running side by side. Something happened to Mike Dewhurst early on in that race. There was a little bit of damage to the tail end of his car. He was having to pick his way back through the order. He picked off Peter Hunter. Then there was a spin for both Andrew Morrow and Hamandra Pillai at Luffield Corner, which caused Stuart Marsden to get on the brakes, and Robert Rees. As some of the quicker cars were trying to then thread their way back through the order, there was another mistake at the end of that lap by Andrew Morrow, who at this stage of the race, the 2023 champion, found himself outside of the top six. Hamandra Pillai tried to move up the inside of Mike Dewhurst. There was contact between the pair of them. Pillai would drop back towards the tail end of the field. Mike Dewhurst would continue. And then there was another little bit of contact between Stuart Marsden and Robert Rees. They both got away with it, but for Robert Rees, it was a big spin. He tried to catch it. There was a second spin. He ended up facing backwards. And then as he got the car pointing in the right direction, he stalled it as he was trying to hook reverse. So that dropped him way back through the order, and at that stage actually put him out of championship contention. Mike Dewhurst was pushing hard. He didn't need to get involved, though, with recovering Andrew Morrow, because that was a Trofeo Pirelli car, so he let him go through and knew that he had to close in on Stuart Marsden if he wanted to secure the championship. He set the fastest lap, but was still going to come up short by one single championship point. Out front, Gilbert Yates had built a very, very strong advantage. Mike Dewhurst knew that he had to try and do the overtake on Stuart Marsden if he wanted to claim the championship. If he could get past the red car, he would gain the championship points that he needed and would secure the championship by one single point. He had one little nibble as they went up towards Brooklands Corner. Stuart Marsden braked late, braked a bit too late, ran wide, and that was the extra 2 championship points at that stage of the race that Mike Dewhurst needed to overhaul the points tally that Robert Rees was going to rack up. But towards the tail end of the race, Robert Rees gained a further place over Peter Hunter. Stuart Marsden also sneaked through and ahead of Mike Dewhurst. So the win went the way of Gilbert Yates. The championship in Coppa Shell goes the way of Robert Rees. And we can go back down to the pit lane and Amanda.
Thanks very much, Mark. Yes, Gilbert Yates, you had so much spare track between you and Hamandra behind you. You won't have known what an exciting race that was amongst everybody else. But how was it for you?
Yeah, it was good. At the start, it was quite exciting because we were around turn 4. There was a bit of coolant on the ground. I had a bit of a slide, and I looked in the mirror, and Andrew had spun. But I thought I had a puncher. So I just kept pushing, but I was on the radio constantly to Tom, saying, I think I've got a puncher I've got to put in. But then I realised it was something on the track.
Yeah. So you think it was the coolant then that caused Andrew behind you to spin as well?
I don't know, because at that stage he was very close to me, so maybe just gone the power too early, I'm not sure.
Right, okay. Well, listen, many congratulations. You have got a clean sweep apart from those first 2 races. You've got fastest laps, wins, pole position. Must be a dream season.
Yeah, it's been great, yeah.
Listen, well done, Gilbert Yates. Fantastic. Time to go to the podium. Mark.
Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, so whilst Amanda heads down towards the podium and the drivers and the teams and the supporters all head in that direction, let's have a look then at what the championship standings are at the end of the 2024 Ferrari Challenge UK, our final race of the season here at Silverstone. So our champions have been crowned, and in Trofeo Pirelli, Gilbert Yates finishes the championship season on 132 championship points. In second place, jointly, are Andrew Morrow and Pranav Vangala. But Andrew Morrow has taken race wins this year, so on the count back, he will finish second in the championship, with Pranav Vangala ultimately then be classified in third place. Fourth was Hemandra Pillai with Tom Fleming and John Dillon, fifth and sixth respectively. Lucky Kira, who we saw out racing yesterday, seventh. AJ Litz in eighth place, and Lee Frost, they're in ninth place, who only did a single race at Donington Park earlier on this season. So congratulations to Gilbert Yates. He's our Trofeo Pirelli champion for this year. And as for Coppa Shell, wow, what can we say about that race that we've just seen? But the championship goes by 3 points to Robert Rees. He's on 126 championship points. Mike Dewhurst, after a full season of racing, just a whisker away, wasn't he? He finishes in second place. And Stephen Dobson, congratulations to him, finishing third in his debut season in the Ferrari Challenge UK. Peter Hunter improves on his finishing position in last year's championship. He finishes in fourth place, with Gary Redman, an absentee from the entry list this weekend, in fifth. Darren Howell, sixth. Stuart Marston, seventh place, and Paul Simerson in eighth place. Remember, Stuart Marston and Paul Simerson only returned to the championship this weekend here at Silverstone. So that's the championship table at the end of the season. We mentioned earlier on that we are going to conclude our season here next year as well. Let's just confirm the results for you then from that race. Gilbert Yates takes the win, with Pranav Vangala in second place and Andrew Morrow in third. In fourth place, the win in Coppa Shell goes the way of Paul Simerson. Stuart Marsden there in fifth place, and Mike Dewhurst sixth. Stephen Dobson was in seventh place. Robert Rees in eighth place, but that was enough to give him the championship. Peter Hunter ninth. And Hemandra Pillai completed the top 10 and was the last of the finishers, because there was a retirement in towards the pit lane after just a couple of laps of racing from Darren Howell, who will not be classified, I'm afraid. So that gives you the classification from that race. And as we say, we will conclude our season here in 2025 at Silverstone. But just to run you through the calendar again, we will start the 2025 championship season, which, remember, introduces the new Ferrari 296 next year. That's the 26th and 27th of April, our away round at Navarra in Spain. The second round of the championship will be in the 16th and 17th of May at Alton Park. Then 21st, 22nd of June, we'll go to Brands Hatch at Donington Park on the 26th and 27th of July, and the 6th and 7th of September we'll return to Silverstone to conclude our 2025 championship season. So with the podium ready, I think it's time to go down there. Amanda Stretton is going to introduce our drivers to the podium.
Thank you very much. Yes, it is podium time for the final time this year. Starting off with Trofeo Pirelli and our overall race. First, second and third. And in third position, it is Andrew Morrow. Congratulations, Andrew. A fantastic effort from him. Second, Pranav Vangala. Wonderful, well done. And our race winner and our race champion this season, it is Gilbert Yates. I'm not sure if we're having a national anthem now. Wonderful. And if a dealer representative from the winning Dealer from Charleshurst would like to make their way up as we start with the trophy presentations. First of all, in third place, Andrew Morrow. Trophies are awarded today by Thomas Neubauer, the Ferrari factory driver, doing his duties wonderfully. In second place, Pranav Vangala. Congratulations to you. And race winner, of course, Gilbert Yates, a man very familiar with that top step this season. He also gets the Trofeo Pirelli trophy and, of course, the dealer trophy as well. Congratulations. So, guys, if you would like to get together for a little photograph, being choreographed there. Not an awful lot of room here for photographers to actually get their pictures in. Big smiles all round. Wonderful stuff. Now it's time for us to get out the way because it's time for the champagne. Oh dear. I think our cameraman may have copped a little bit of champagne there. What a wonderful way to celebrate. Are you spraying the cameraman? Yes. Wonderful. Right, we're just going to set the podium up for the second part of the trophy celebrations. It is, of course, the Coppa Shell. Now, what an exciting race it's been today. Okay, we're going to start with our third place driver, a man who had victory almost snatched out of his hands at the very last minute. It is Mike Dewhurst. Mike, well done. What a fantastic race. Second place, Stuart Marston. Wonderful, strong effort. Returning, but in first place, it is, of course, Paul Simerson. Paul, well done you. Congratulations. And dealer representative from Greypool, Birmingham, make your way up as well. And of course, now we have the anthems. Now, trophy presentations are going to be made by Federico Pastorelli, Ferrari North Europe Regional Manager. In third place, it is to Mike Dewhurst, sorry. In second place, Stuart Marston. And finally, Paul Simerson. I'm not... Paulina, well done.
Well done.
And of course, the dealer trophy being handed over to Greypool, Birmingham. Well done, guys.
Well done.
Would you like to have huddled together for a little photograph?
Come on, mate, go in there.
Trophies being held up high. And big smiles all round. Right, you're out. Right, now it's time for everybody to take cover, stand back. It's time for the champagne. Oh, look at the two of them. Paul and Stuart, your children. Right, but of course we've got one more trophy. Sorry? We're having a bit of confusion here about what's happening next. I think we've got one more trophy to come. And I'm going to ask Robert Rees. Right, Robert, you are going to have to make your way up to the podium now. I'm not sure the other guys are actually wanting to get off the podium. Paul's wanting to take his place. But of course, Robert finishing, I think, in 5th place at the end of that race, overtaking Peter Hunter at the very last minute. Not finishing on the podium, but of course having his moment to shine now. Very sensibly, of course, also avoiding all of the champagne and receiving applause from everybody down gathered watching as well. So your trophy presentation is going to happen later. But it's time for your moment to shine. A final round of applause for our Coppa Shell champion for 2024. It is Robert Rees. Wow, Mark. I don't know whether I'm coming or going, but congratulations to Robert. Mark, back to you.
Thank you very much, Amanda. Yep, so that concludes our Ferrari Challenge UK Racing for 2024. What a way to end the season. It came down to the final race. It came down to the final minute of racing. It came down to the final lap of racing. So let's just look back and I think of some of that action, that fantastic action. Of course, Mike Dewhurst needed to stay ahead of Stuart Marsden as they came up towards Stowe Corner for the final time. Stuart Marsden dived back up the inside of Mike Dewhurst. And that means that at this stage of the race, Mike Dewhurst needed to, with one corner to go, retake the place off Stuart Marsden. Otherwise, he was going to come up short in the championship. He had a really good nibble coming down into the braking area for Club Corner. There was a little bit of contact between them. There was another little contact between the pair of them. But it was sufficient for Robert Rees to become our champion in Coppa Shell for 2024. What an end to the championship season here at Silverstone. And we will conclude our 2025 championship here at Silverstone as well. So if you've tuned into any of the racing in 2024, thank you so much for joining us and enjoying the Ferrari Challenge UK. We'll be back for more in 2025. So until next year, goodbye.